Rituals of the American politics often require elected officials to say obviously stupid shit in public, but not since the height of the Merrick Garland struggle in 2016 has it already twisted itself into a more bizarre spectacle of bad faith and transparently preposterous reasoning than the GOP's pitiful mewling about the impeachment process in the House of Representatives. And while it is understandable why hapless House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and his allies have retreated to such an exposed and easily overrun radical citadel, if this is the GOP's strategy for dealing with the still unfolding Ukraine scandal and with 45's obvious criminality, they really are in fucking serious trouble. For weeks, Republicans have been yelping loudly to anyone who will listen that the Democrats are holding secret Soviet-style hearings and railroading their great squatter in a process they are calling a coup, which not true. To pick one example among a thousand House Minority Whip Whip Steve Scalise claimed this week that that might be what they do in the Soviet Union, not the United States of America. We can't stand for this. The American people are being denied equal justice. You would think that someone who recently got shot and nearly killed by a deranged fanatic might be reticent to compare Democrats to one of the 20th century's paramount villains, but you would be very wrong. He delivered these remarks, no joke, in front of a placard that read 37 days of Soviet-style impeachment proceedings, replete with a hammer and sickle and a large rendering of the Kremlin. Subtlety is not a specialty of the modern Republican Party. Who is the intended audience for this kind of laughable tripe? Republican voters wavering in their support of the squatter are presumably both illiterate and and aware that the Soviet Union lacked an elected legislature as well as the ability to remove a corrupt executive through powers that are spelled out plainly and ambiguously in a document representing the legally binding political order. Those without this rudimentary knowledge already tells pollsters that there is nothing 45 could ever do to lose their support, and they're still bouncing up and down on his dick, as in no matter what he does. Cornered Republicans are rolling with a modified Red Scare strategy because they have no other real way to explain the squatters' behavior. They first put themselves in a narrative bind when they accepted Attorney General William Barr's cooked Mueller report reading of no collusion, no obstruction, which was not true. That's not what the report said. Because the whole defense rested on both a willful misreading of the document itself and an attacked administration that if there was ever any fresh evidence of election-related collusion with the foreign power, that this would be bad and condemnable and a problem of all sorts. They made a big bet that the squatter wouldn't be stupid and careless enough to go out basically the next day and do it again, which he has. This time, preserving his crimes in rough transcripts and text messages. That bet met the same fate as well as all wagers on 45, with the dealer raking your chips away as you stare dolefully into your half-guzzled gin and tonic and wonder how you're going to pay the tolls on the way home. Excuse me. So here they are, and more than a month into the scandal, they have not found or settled on a single coherent line of defense for what transpired, focusing instead on the procedural critiques or how it's too close to an election to impeach the squatter, are concerned trolling moderate Democratic members of the House strategies that have comprehensively failed to turn a majority of the American people against the inquiry itself. No one thinks these Republicans care about process, and not even Matt Gaetz believes Republicans will retake the House next year. 45 in all likelihood would not be removed from office by the Senate, but they won't find many takers behind Lindsey Graham for a defense that consists of shouting, "Read this transcript," on Twitter, and at some point complaining about House procedures will seem like a non-sequitur, even to the diehards. Sooner or later, Republican Senators Susan Collins, Cory Gardner, and Joni Ernst, and other vulnerable incumbents will have to cast their vote for or against the squatter and then explain it that we have to read the transcript. What will they say after months of credible witness putting their lives and careers on the line to confirm that everyone can see with their own two eyes, that the squatter ran a sordid little extortion scheme through his lawyer, with the goal of having Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, I'm not sure if I'm saying that name right, announced his investigation into leading Democratic rival Joe Biden and his son Hunter. that it's wrong and possibly illegal but not worthy of removal, gross and disqualifying but not a high crime. How do you go and tell people to vote for a guy who you just told reporters did something deeply troubling and wrong, or profoundly problematic, or whatever scalding out but exonerating language they will settle on? How do you let that guy campaign for you? Remember, no one had to help Bill Clinton run for re-election. It would have been awkward. Collins might be craven, but she is not. But she is stupid. In her heart, she knows that the squatter, the leader of her party, is an insipid, talentless ghoul who has thrown away the strongest economy in 2 generations, chasing down nonsensical conspiracy theories, allowing people too crooked to operate a payday lending storefront to plunge the government into an endless series of crisis and self-inflicted catastrophes, and turning every bitter old pensioner in the country into a frothing cesspool of rage, denial, and paranoia bent on driving stakes through the hearts of their own grandchildren because they can't stand the thought of saying Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas. She knows this man has transformed her beloved GOP from ruthless, momentan, and quite effective luxury vehicle for the preservation and expansion of inherited wealth and power into a charrette full of dumbasses, hitmen, and hacks, and that they are hydroplaning uncontrollably and taking everyone associated with them along for the most needlessly dangerous ride of their lives. I have no idea why Collins, a woman who is pushing 70 and has had one of the most prestigious and easiest jobs in the world for nearly 25 years, feels the need to run for re-election at all under the humiliating banner of this man and the fallen party, let alone to mortgage what remains of her reputation to acquit him of the crimes he is obviously committing. But she'll probably do it again. The key for her chances at re-election in 2020 and at her party's odds of holding the Senate or the Squadron is whether she can come up with a minimally convincing explanation of her vote. She and Cocaine Mitch and Lying Ted and Little Marco need to lock themselves into a secure room somewhere and come up with something better than what they've shown so far, because the only Soviet-style thing happening in American politics right now is the GOP's total inability to see that the end of 45's regime is much, much closer than it appears. And so true.